I had an absolutely wonderful time at this wedding. My daughter, my number three child, got married. And first of all, let's go ahead and deal with a couple of questions up front. No, Joey didn't go to the wedding. No, he doesn't do well at weddings. So Joey wasn't there. But me and the family, we had a wonderful time. And guess what? There was a lot of work that went into this. And I at the wedding and in preparation for the wedding and even going through the rehearsal and all stuff like that, things that men don't tend to think about, but girls think about a lot and put a lot of effort and things like that. And there's a lot of intentionality into how you want things to be, the pictures, the hair, the makeup, all these things like that. Me and the men, his what do you call them, the best men and groomsmen. We were back in the back where we were changing, and they gave us these. I don't know what you call those little things, the little flower deals you put on your chest. Or was it this side? I think it was. Yeah, it was this side. We had first of all, we didn't know what it was. Two, we didn't know how to put them on, and just to watch us, you could tell there's not a whole lot into there's not a lot of thought into it on our part as far as getting. No, it's not the corset. They call it something else. MLJ. They call it something else. I can't remember what that thing is called. The little flower that goes on there. It's not a corset, but anyway, whatever it was. So we were just simply noticing, it didn't take us long to get ready. We were moving about, not a corsage, but the women, the amount of effort and time that they put into it, getting themselves ready. And there were a lot of lessons learned that are applicable for this particular wedding. Boutonniere, that's what it is. Boutonniere, that's what it was. There you go. There were a lot of things that I saw, and it just made me think more and more about our relationship with Christ. And before I get into that, I'll go ahead and give some details. I won't put her face on it. You all, my daughter's name is Hannah, and she married Jonathan, and that's I don't really put their faces out. Now they could, if they want to, they could put it on their own. If they have a channel, if they want to put their faces on their own social media, or they don't even really mention me that much. As a matter of fact, how we met Jonathan was we went to go visit her church where she dressed up with the youth and the worship team. And so we were getting out of the car, and Jonathan just walked up behind us. I didn't know him, and he just said, "Hey, Corey Minor." I'm thinking, "Hey, who is this kid?" And come to find out, they ended up dating and so forth. So that's how we met him. But a lot of people at the wedding, they were saying things like, "Hey, I didn't know that I watched you, and I didn't know that Hannah was your father." Every now and then she might mention. I think she mentioned to Jonathan he was watching, and he said, "Yeah, that's my dad," and that's how that came about. But they don't do a whole lot of speaking about or promoting this particular channel. And I'm glad they don't, because I don't want the hassle that I might get going to them. And I don't talk much about them other than about them, but showing their face, because they might not want that. So, but we had a wonderful time. And yeah, before it started, I was fighting to hold back tears, because that's what daddies do. When daddies have to give away their bride, their daughter, it's emotional, right? Because there's no such thing as a person who is acceptable. You want to, as the father, give your daughter away, give the bride away to someone who you know for a fact is worthy. I'm going somewhere with this. You, as a father, you want to give your bride, your daughter, away to someone who you know is worthy, who will take care of her, who will keep her, who will protect her, who will comfort her, who will die for her. Yeah, I'm going somewhere with this. There's a whole lot that you can learn from just a regular wedding feast that you can see about God. The father is not giving the bride away to just any old body. Oh, by the way, there's a reason why he gives the bride to who he gives the bride to. Someone's going to catch this. Someone's going to make sense of this in just a little bit. But there's a lot of things that I noticed also. Just the preparation. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, we have wedding stuff all over the house. I mean, yeah, there's every room and I'm looking around in here, even in here, every room in our house probably except for the bathrooms, and that's just recently. There's something related to this wedding in the front room, in the kitchen, in all the bedrooms, in this office, in our bedroom, in the den, still in the cars. There's something related to this wedding. All the preparation, all the time it took, finding a place, sending out the invitations, inviting people, greeting people, the people, all of the things that went into this, to having the place hosted. You've got people that are that are videoing, that are recording it on video, the ceremony. There are those that are taking pictures. You've got the pastor who is got himself ready. We are preparing ourselves. We even had a rehearsal. I thought to myself, why in the world do we have to have a rehearsal? We're just walking down. And when I'm there and we've got the ladies that are telling us, okay, you come down next, you do this, hold your hand like this. Daddy, put your hand out. The daughter's going to put her hand on. I went down twice. I walked through this thing twice. You know why they made me walk through twice? Because doggone, they need to see me come through twice. The first time I had to walk my wife down. I walked her down. And then I immediately made my way out. And then I had to go back and wait for my daughter, wait for the bride. And there's stuff that if they didn't tell me, I would have messed it up. But do I go after this person? Do I go after that person? You've got little kids that are involved that are going to walk through there. We've got Jonathan's little sister. I think she was, I don't know how old she's, 10, something like that. His little brother, who was one of the groomsmen. The boy got more energy than anybody on the planet. My 2 grandsons, you got to coordinate this stuff. Who's walking behind who's doing what, how fast do you walk, how do you walk? All those different things. I understand why there is practice involved in all of that. Why? Because you're getting ready for this feast, for this consummation, for this coming together. Because how we're practicing it on that time, at that time, is how it's going to be in real life, how it's going to be on that actual wedding day. And so a lot of what we're doing today, even as believers, we're kind of just getting ourselves ready for that day. We're learning how to go through, how to walk, how we should hold ourselves, how slow, how fast, making sure that we know exactly what to do. Why? Because now, by the way, none of us are the stars of the show. None of us are the stars of the show. We're just the guests. We're just the folks that are involved, but there's somebody else who's going to be highlighted, who's going to be the focus of this entire show. We just want to make sure we're doing things the right way. And so we practice so that everything on that day goes off without a hitch. I'm trying to go somewhere if you folks will actually let me. But so all of that, and it popped, it clicked. Once I'm going through, okay, I get it. We went through a couple of run-throughs because the first time we ran through, we were messing up. Some folks got it. Some folks thought they had it. The folks who thought they had it realized, I don't have it right. Oh, you know what? I think we should do this. No, there's a whole lot of thinking on everyone else's part, but there are certain people that actually run the show. When it's all said and done, though, it's the bride and the groom that's telling us what they want. What they want is what we get, what we're going to do. And so after we have the rehearsal and we're fellowshipping with everyone, on the day of the wedding, the question is 2. 1, who's going to cry? Who's going to cry the most? Who's going to cry first? And the odds were that Daddy was going to cry before the son. Can I tell you the truth? I was struggling. I was crying before the wedding. Just to look at my daughter's picture as a little girl, us taking care of from the time that she was born, when she was 1, she was 2, growing up, looking at her in junior high and in high school. One day I would love to show you guys a picture of me at age 7 and her at age 7. And I told Jonathan, I said, this right here, that's what you got to look forward to. One day you're going to wake up and you all will be in your 50s or 60s, and you might roll over. She might look like me, mustache and bald head and all. I'm trying to scare the youngster, but no, she did. she has some similarities. She doesn't look like me, not anymore. She looks like a beautiful young lady. But uh, I'm going back and I'm looking at all of these times in the past and seeing how she is, and I'm crying. I'm by myself. I'm wiping tears and so forth. Because this was your baby. The same thing with the others, and so the odds were Corey was going to cry first. The father, I'm gonna cry first. Well, after I come back out and I'm sitting there, and they tell me, turn your back this way, and we'll tell you when you can turn and look at your daughter. And so I'm sitting there waiting. And what's funny is I'm sitting there waiting, facing the door, facing away from her, and I'm telling myself, "Stop crying, you big sissy. Stop crying, you big old sissy. Don't you do this. Cry when you see her. Don't cry before. You're a big sissy, Corey. That's what you are. You're a big sissy." But I'm crying thinking about I'm giving her away. And I'm not crying because I don't want to give her away. No, but it's just the emotion. I'm overcome by how much I love her. Doggone, I'm trying to go somewhere. I'm overcome by how much I love her. And then when the lady says, "Now you can turn around and look at your daughter," and I turned around and I saw her there. And man, I wish her mother could have saw what I saw. It was almost like the whole room was dark, and it was just her there in her white wedding gown. Just I stood there and looked at her, and I had to suck it up a little bit because I've got to go and give her away. I'm trying to go somewhere. I'm trying to get somewhere if you guys would let me. And so they open the door, and I'm bringing her in. As I come around the corner, and we stood there so everyone can see, and I see the groom. He's there. I could see he had been crying. You could see his eyes. Now, apparently they told me that he was crying long before then, that he was crying, and the pastor tells him, kind of hold yourself together. So he was full of joy as well, waiting to receive his bride. If you guys would let me, I'll promise you I'm trying to go somewhere with you. I bring her down, and everything just hit even more. So it's just vivid how what was happening here was so biblical. Not that these are actual biblical characters here, but it's a microcosm. It's a picture of what's happening with us, the Father and the Son. Us as the bride, the Father and the groom. Y'all do realize the very first time that Jesus, I was reminded of this, the first time that Jesus showed a miracle, the first miracle of Jesus's life was where? At a wedding. I don't know if that was unintentional. I think that was absolutely intentional. The first miracle that Jesus partook in was at a wedding. The last thing that Jesus is going to do for us is the consummation of a wedding, taking his bride to be forever. Now, one of the things that I before we went to the front, I was in the back, and I said, "Jonathan, we're going to pray over you, but I want to read something. I want to read your charge. I want to read your charge as a husband." By the way, if you are men and you're married, or if you're going to be married, I want you to see something. This is the charge. And you have to remind yourself of this, even when there's times where you think she's tripping or you feel like you're tripping, what have you, when things just kind of, they just have one of those days. This is your charge as the husband. I want you to see this. This is really like Christ-like husband. He says, "Husband, love your wives, just as Christ." And this is what I'm reading. I'm reading this to Jonathan. "Husband, love your wives, just also as Christ loved the church and did what? Gave himself for her, so that he might," and here it is, "sanctify her, set her apart, make her holy, having cleansed her by the washing of water with the word, that he might present to himself the church in all her glory, having no spot or wrinkle or any such thing, but that she would be holy and blameless." So husbands, hutos, this is the same way husbands ought to also love their own wives as their own bodies. He who loves his own wife loves himself. And so you think about that. That's the charge. The charge is to present her holy, spotless, blameless. So as I said to him, and I'm reminding all the other husbands that are in there, all the other men were married as well. It's the same charge for us. So I can't complain about her. I can't say that she ain't doing this or she ain't doing that. Why? Because my charge is to present her spotless, holy, blameless. If I got a complaint, whose fault is that? Your job is to make her holy, make her spotless, make her blameless. I mean, there's a certain way to do so. And how so? He says, with the washing of the word. That's the job. And so to do what Christ has done or is doing for us is what the husband is supposed to do. And it dawned on me, if Christ is doing that, how long is Christ doing that? For how long is Christ involved in this? How much effort must he take? Must he give to make sure he presents this bride spotless and holy? How is this a temporary thing or is this an ongoing thing? I'm trying to go somewhere. If you guys would just calm down and let me, I'm trying to get somewhere with this. But Jesus is trying to present the body, present the bride in a certain way. And he's not given a few minutes. No, he pays attention to detail. Painstaking efforts to make sure that this goes on for on and on. Remember, this is a God who hates divorce. This is a God who hates divorce, but he's marrying himself to a bride. Do you think he wants that to ever stop? If you just listen to him, you'll hear what I'm trying to say. He is putting all this effort into what? Into making sure that this is going to be a lifelong, everlasting, if you will, venture. And so at this wedding feast in John chapter 2, notice what he says. Both Jesus and his disciples were invited to the wedding. When the wine ran out, the mother of Jesus said to him, "They have no wine." And Jesus said to her, "Woman, what does that have to do with us? My hour has not yet come." Well, what's his hour? What is he supposed to do? What is Jesus referring to? Well, Jesus is referring to another wedding. But fine, mother, fine. I'll go ahead and do this. But I think, again, it's intentional that his first miracle was there at a wedding, even though he's getting ready for another wedding. Remember, Jesus says the kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of God is like this, may be compared to a king who gave a wedding feast for his son. We're just going to be there to observe. But this, the key individual there is the son. And he sent out slaves to call those who had been invited to the wedding feast, and they were unwilling. Israel, come on to the wedding feast, but they were unwilling. Again, he sent out other slaves, saying, "Tell those who have been invited, behold, I have prepared my dinner, my oxen, my fattened livestock are all butchered, and everything is ready. Come to the wedding feast. It's time." But they paid no attention and went their way, one to his own farm, another to his business, and the rest seized his slaves, mistreated them, and killed them. But the king was enraged. Why? Because this is about his son. He was enraged, and he sent his armies and destroyed those murderers and set their city on fire. I seem to recall the city of these Jews being set on fire and destroyed. Then he said to his slaves, "The wedding is ready, but those who were invited were not worthy." Now, he's still going to invite those same folks who weren't worthy. "Go, therefore, to the main highways, and as many as you find there, invite to the wedding feast." Those slaves went out into the street and gathered together all they found, both evil and good, and the wedding hall was filled. So what does he do? He goes out and he brings in not just the Jews, but also Gentiles as well. Now, no one is actually worthy. No one's worthy to be there, but again, the focal point is going to be on the son. And so again, think about this entire wedding feast, or getting ready for this wedding, all of this preparation, all of this time, all of this effort, all of this money, all of this mental moving around, all of this stuff. It just made me think, wow, there's a whole lot going into this. There is an awful lot going into this wedding. What's the big deal? Well, the big deal is that these two will be joined together forever. And then I thought about us. There's an awful lot going into this wedding feast. There's an awful lot of money. There's an awful lot of time. There's an awful lot of sleepless nights. There's an awful lot of uncertainty. There's an awful lot of trying to invite people. Hey, you want to come? Nah, I might not be available. Now, I'm speaking about us as believers in our walk. There's an awful lot of similarities between that wedding and our wedding. There's an awful lot of similarities and awful lot of wondering, is everything going to go off? Will there be a hitch? How well will things go? You want to make sure that everything is perfect. Remember, the bride is being married, is going to marry the son or the groom. And so you see all these different pictures painted in the Bible relating to weddings and the groom and the bride. One that we don't always quite see is John 14. Jesus says, remember, he's the groom, speak to the bride. Do not let your heart be troubled. Believe in God, believe in me also. In my Father's house are many mansions or dwelling places. Why is that the case? Well, the reason why that's the case is because at that time, how they would do things is that when you get married, the man, the groom, who is betrothed, remember this, if he is betrothed, he is considered to be married. He has to go through the same procedures to not be married if he were actually married. So the difference between the betrothal and the actual marriage is the ceremony and the certificate. That's it. But in the eyes of everyone, they are married. And so then, as he is going to prepare a place, he says, in my Father's house are many mansions. What does that mean? There's many places. So the son is to go and to prepare a place for where he and his bride will be forever. It would be in the Father's house, literally, physical house, or on the property. In my Father's house, there are many dwelling places. And so what does he say? If it were not so, I would not have told you. I'm not making these things up. I'm not lying to you. You may have been lied to before in your past. I'm not one of the ones that have lied to you. If it were not so, I would not have told you, for I go to prepare a place for who? For you. Who's the you? The bride. That's us. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you. I will come again and I will receive you. Ladies and gentlemen, understand, if I come again, I will receive you. That is to myself, receive you to myself, that where I am, there you also may be. And you know the way where I'm going. Thomas said, we don't know where you're going. How do we know the way? He says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. If you had known me, you would have known my Father. What's his point? I'm going to prepare a place for you. And in this middle, in the midst of me coming to prepare a place for you, I'm coming back to receive you. I'm coming back to get you. And so me preparing a place for you means that I am going to do just what I said. You know what that really means? That means you don't have any worry. Remember, your betrothal and your marriage is the same. If you are his bride, you are his bride prior to the wedding and after. He's not going, as he says, if I'm going to prepare a place for you, I'm coming back to get you. I'm literally going to make a place for me and you forever. And so in this custom, the son would go and he would prepare a place, get the room ready, the place ready, what have you. And then when it's time, the father would give a call, the trumpet would sound, a shout would be given to go and get the bride. Why? Why is he going to get the bride? Well, I've been preparing all this time, all this rehearsal, all this getting together, all of this money spent, all this time spent, all these sleepless nights. Y'all do realize there was a price paid, right? When I say the money spent, the currency that was spent was not dollars, was not cryptocurrency, was not credit. No, wasn't a check. The currency that was spent was the blood. He paid the price for everything. Paid for the wedding, you paid for the caterers, you paid for the gowns and stuff, you pay for all these different things. There's a whole lot being paid. The father of the bride pays for all this stuff. Jesus paid a greater price. What he paid is incomprehensible. You cannot compare what he paid versus what I paid. And her wedding, she wanted a no frills wedding. She didn't want a whole lot. Now it ended up being more than probably what she initially thought, but she was pleased with it. She was happy with it. I'll tell you this, that everything went off without a hitch. Everything was just perfect. Everything. Now, there is one thing I've got to tell you about at the end, after the wedding. Make sure that I tell you about the what happened after the wedding. I need you to understand this part that happened after the wedding. Very important. But there's a lot that was paid for this wedding. As a matter of fact, still paying. Oh, I need a drink for that. Still paying. Almost through paying. Still paying. And it's the best. It's one of the best prices you could pay. To know that what you're paying for is to ensure that the bride would be with this groom forever. You don't mind paying. To know that she's secure, to place her in the hands of someone that will take care of her, that would die for her. Yeah, that's the goal. And the groom has to prepare a place for her. And if he goes away for however long this period is going to be, she has to have enough confidence that where he is going to take her to, she's going to be secure, that she's going to be okay. She's going to be protected. That's the goal. Now, if that's what her husband is doing, what do you think Christ is doing? What do you think? Do you think he's just sitting around watching baseball games? You think he's sitting around watching YouTube? No. The Bible says, I go to prepare up. Jesus says, I go to prepare a place for you. If it weren't so, I would not have told you that was the case if it weren't the case. And so I'm going to prepare a place for you. Now, as I'm walking her down the aisle, and what I noticed, all attention was on her. People momentarily took their eyes off the groom and turned their attention to the bride. As she's walking down, they turned their attention to the bride. All the attendants, they're looking. Now, of course, it's 2025, so they got their phones out and so forth. Obviously, the videographer is recording and the photographer, but everyone is looking at the bride. You can see their faces. It's like everyone in this room loved the bride. They had a certain love for her. Now, I'll say this personally for my daughter. I think everyone loved her. She's the kind of person that everyone likes. There's no one that's out there that has something bad to say about her. And so I felt honored just to be walking beside her. But here I am, the father, bringing the bride to the son, to the groom. And as I get there, now I'm full of emotion. This is it. This is the day that, and the moment that everything has led up to. All the preparation has led up to this moment right here. Everything. Caused me to think about something. Do you want to know what was on my mind as I was bringing her up? Well, the pastor says, who gives this bride to this groom? I do. Well, I said my wife and I do. But it made me think. John 6, all the Father gives me will come to me, and all the ones who come to me will certainly not cast out. I will certainly not cast out. For I have come down from heaven not to do my own will, but the will of him who sent me. This is the will of him who sent me, that all that the Father has given me, I will lose none, but raise them up in the last day. You do realize that we, as being the bride, we are given to the groom by the Father. I say it again. I'll say it over and over again. The greatest gift ever in the history of anything. Yes, your salvation is the greatest gift that you have, but the greatest gift is between the greatest gift giver and the greatest gift receiver. I'm not saying that the gift receiver didn't give us a gift. He did. But the greatest gift was the Father giving a gift to the Son, giving someone to the Son. The Father is the one who gave a gift. The Father is the one. The Father gives the bride to the groom. And he says something. All that the Father gives, he says, they will come, one, but two, I won't lose any. Think about that. I won't lose any. All the Father gives, I will not lose any. So when he says, I'm going to prepare a place for you, If it weren't so, I wouldn't have told you so, and I won't lose. All that the Father gives will come, and I won't lose. You are the gift. The bride is the gift. So who gives this? Who gives this bride away? The Father. That's the picture of the wedding. Amen. No, I'm not letting this cat come in. This cat was in here all day long. I'm sick of this cat. And so this consummation of the marriage, this is what we see. All this time we've been sitting here getting ourselves ready. We have been saying that we fight and bicker over stuff. We argue over what's the right color to wear, what's the right music to play, how should we dress, how should we walk, how loud, how quiet. We argue and debate about a lot of different things. Wait a second. We argue and debate about a lot of different things. But the fact of the matter is, none of the things that we argue and debate over are important. None of those things are important, are they? What we argue and fight over is in preparation for the ceremony. We argue and debate over, well, this way or that way. In the end, though, we are going to be with who? With the bride. With the groom. We think that we're the ones that are in control of how the wedding is going to turn out. Think about this. We think, us smart Christians, us geniuses, we think that we are going to affect how this wedding ceremony is going to go. No. He's the one that is presenting us. Remember, if the Father gave the Son this bride, the Son is going to keep the bride and present the bride spotless, holy, blameless. For just one day, though. Okay, a little bit longer than a day, maybe for a couple years. No, forever. Forever. Let that sink in and let it roll off your tongues. Forever. He's a God who does not like divorce. And so he is going to allow a divorce between him and his bride? Never. Ever. Which is why he says, I will lose not one. Now, here's the part that I thought about also. When it was all said and done, at the very end of the wedding, do you know what happened? What do y'all think happened at the end of the wedding? After the wedding was over with, there's a next step. Does anyone know what happens at the end? I would love to know what do y'all think happens at the very end of the wedding when everything's over with, when the bride and the groom at the wedding party, after that, when it's all said and done, what happens? Then the bride has to go, the groom has to leave. What's left? I'll tell you what's left. What's left is the cleanup. After the cleanup, then we have to get rid of everything. Everything else that's left is thrown away. Everything else that's left is tossed in the trash to be burned, thrown out and be burned. After the wedding feast, everything that's not left is gone. The cleanup process. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have this invitation to the wedding feast, please go. Please. Because if you don't, you'll get a chance to see what's happening. You will. But after the bridegroom has taken his bride and left, then comes the cleanup process. Then he has to come and clean up and take everything else that's left and throw it away. That's exactly what's going to happen. I pray that that's not you. I pray that you won't be part of the group that's not part of the wedding feast, part of the wedding party. It's tiring, but it does happen. When we left that place, when we left the facility, there was no evidence that we were there. It was returned back to its original state. No evidence of the bride or the groom. And I don't want that to be you. I don't want that to be you, to where there's no evidence of any trash, of anything or anyone that's been thrown away. All you got to do is place your faith in the one that paid for it all, paid for the wedding, paid for your life with his blood. That's it. That's it. Do that. The Bible says you can know for a fact that you are saved. Amen.